All right, good afternoon, everyone. We are at 1:30. And with that, I'll call this meeting of the PPRTA to order. And with that, need to establish a quorum. And I see that we have a quorum physically here. So we will move forward. Item number 2, approval of the agenda. I will ask for a motion to approve today's agenda items.
I move approval of agenda, John Graham.
Thank you, Mayor Graham.
Second, Mayor Dixon.
Thank you, Mayor Dixon. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We have none. The agenda for today. Moving along to public comment for the period for items not on today's agenda. And I can't see if we can, I'm seeing no one online. I'm getting that confirmation. We have no one online. Anyone in our audience today for public comment? I see none. So, oh yeah, you put Ashley on the spot. All right. With that, I see that we have no public comment. Item number 3, we will move along to item number 4, approval of the minutes. Now there's been, we've had the minutes amended. And Jennifer, if you want to, or Rick, speak to the amendment of last meeting's amendments, meeting minutes.
Yeah, my apologies, board members. I can blame this on nothing besides a tech snafu of some sort. I had sent revisions to the draft minutes to Rick, and the version that was included in the packet did not incorporate everything I intended it to incorporate, which was fully my fault. The version I saved on the system did, my system did, but regrettably, the version in your meeting packet did not. So under 10B, which was the Copper Ridge IGA approval, there's just some edited language in the version that's before you. One, just to replace the word proposal with the full name of the IGA that was being approved. And then just to note that the other final revisions were to be acceptable to legal counsel. And on that note, I did send the board members as a follow-up a red line just showing what those revisions were that were made to that IGA. But for purposes of the minutes, I'm just asking that you approve the version that's revised to show these changes.
Thank you. So I would ask for a motion of the amended minutes.
So I move approval of the amended minutes, Councilman Donaldson.
Thank you.
I'll second John Graham.
Thank you. We have a motion to approve the amended minutes, and we have a second discussion. I hear and see no discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There is none. The amended minutes is approved. Item number 5, Citizen Advisory Committee report. Jim, welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone. Jim Godfrey, Chair of the CAC. I give you the gift of time. I'll be brief, as was our meeting. So hopefully you'll speed along as well. City of Colorado Springs had 7 contracts that they presented for us. Had 3 of those were construction projects. 3 were maintenance, materials and things like that. And one of them is an update on a project at Peterson Northgate out there. And apparently there's no RTA money currently engaged in that program. So, but it was brief because it's a big project and we may see more of it later. Is that fair, Gail?
There actually is, we were proposing that with this news contract, we would be incorporating PPRTA funding into it for the first time.
Okay. So we recommend approval of the city's request for that. We had no questions on the change order and property acquisition reports. We did have a walk-on. The city brought forward a letter for grant support for 23 project grant application, North Nevada Avenue Community Resilience Project. So you hear about that, it's in your packet. We recommend approval of that letter. We did look at board policy 30 revision. That was some bridge maintenance limits. The draft policy 33 on Copper Ridge. We postponed that again. This is not the Copper Ridge agreement, but the policy that would help guide future Copper Ridges. One of the members came up with some questions that needed to be run by Jennifer, so we'll bring it up next month. It wasn't time sensitive, so we'll bring that up and bring it back next month. And then we looked at the waiver of board policy. Number 7, the capital reserves, which we'll discuss today too, that having to do with replacing of the money they're going to take out of capital reserves for Manitou, for the Manitou agreement. So other than that, that's about it for us. Take any questions?
Any questions out there? I see none. I will ask for a motion to accept the CAC report.
Move to accept, Looking Gonzalez.
So we have a motion to accept the CAC report and we have a second. Any discussion? I see and hear none. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? I hear and see none.
Thank you.
It's approved. It's accepted. Thank you, Jim. Up to next, item 6, monthly financial reports. We'll
Lisa
turn it over
Corey.
to Lisa.
I'm the finance manager for the PPRTA. I do not have an updated monthly report. DOR had anticipated releasing the information sometime today, citing the delay being because of the 4th of July holiday, but I have not seen anything yet.
If that's the case, and I assume as soon as you get that, you'll send it, have it sent out.
Yes,
to
I'll email
all-
the report
all
out
the
as soon
members.
as it's done.
Okay.
6B, the 2022 audit. At the last meeting, we postponed it to give everyone a chance to review it. So we would just be asking for that to be accepted today.
Okay, I'll do a motion to accept, a second, and then we'll have a discussion. So a motion to accept the 2022 audit.
Member Pro Tim Gardine, motion to accept.
Thank you.
I'll second John Graham.
I have a motion to accept the 2022 audit report and a second. It's now open for discussion. I see and hear none. Okay, well, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I hear and see none. With that, the 2022 audit report is accepted. And continue on, Lisa, with item 6C.
Okay, for the budget amendment, in the first couple of pages, there was a change from what I had published before. So there's going to be a couple of pages replaced, and it is regarding the 600,000 to Manitou Springs. So I went ahead and incorporated that into this amendment. So that financial page, you'll see an additional 600,000 into the Manitou capital portion, and then see the 600,000 coming out of the reserve portion. And they had included a memo for how they plan to use those funds.
And I think it's on page 17
Yes.
of the packet, which I think is page 5 of the actual report, but page 17 of the packet. For those that want to take a look at that. Now, is this, we also have to, I believe, have a public hearing on this. So the first step, and I'll ask Rick and Jennifer, is that.
Yes, Mr. Chair, if you'll please open the public hearing. See if there's any public comments, hold the public hearing, and then if there are no comments from either the folks online, folks in the audience, or board members, then please close the public hearing and then have the motion to approve the 2 budget amendment resolutions.
In to officially open the public hearing, we don't have to vote on that or vote to close it either. So I officially open the public hearing for for the budget of 2023 budget amendment. And with that, I'll look to see if we have anyone online, and I'm getting a no. Look in the audience, if we have anyone in the audience that wants to speak to our 2023 budget amendment. I hear none, I see none. And with that, unless we have any Objections, I will close the public hearing. None. Public hearing is closed on that. And then I would ask for a motion to approve the 2023 budget amendment.
I move approval of the 2023 budget amendment.
Yolanda second it.
I have a motion and a second for the 2023 budget amendment. Discussion?
If I might request a friendly amendment to the motion to have it be a motion to approve the 2022 budget amendment and appropriate the funds.
Very good. And appropriate the funds
I would accept that.
for the, who made the motion
For the
and who
original,
made the
yeah.
second.
Yeah.
Concur? Okay. Very good. Any discussion? I hear and see none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. I hear and see none. The amended budget amendment and appropriation has been approved. Very good. Moving on to item 7. 2023 capital maintenance and transportation contracts, City of Colorado Springs, Gail.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Gail Sturdivant, Interim Public Works Director for the City of Colorado Springs. As Mr. Godfrey mentioned, there are 7 contracts for your consideration today. The first one is for the US 24 and Peterson Interchange Project, referred to as the Peterson Space Force Base Northgate Access and Safety Improvements. There is a map located in your package to help understand where this is located. This is an interchange that has city, state, and county jurisdictions. We met several months, actually a couple of years ago, determined the City of Colorado Springs would be taking the lead on this project. This project has already received a Department of Defense grant that PPACG applied for on behalf of all of us member governments. The city's been administering that grant. We also worked with Senators Bennett and Hickenlooper's office, and we were able to get their support on congressionally directed spending for that project. What that means, those funds already have gotten us through preliminary engineering or environmental work, and we've got the funding to finish engineering work. And we want to companion or pair that with our PPRTA intersection improvement safety project or program funds to finish that design, so we can be competitive for a shovel-ready construction grant for that interchange. We are applying for funding for that construction as we speak. It should be submitted next week. So long story short, but I want to give you a little bit of background, kind of how this project evolved and how we got there today. So what we're asking you to approve is a contract with Basis Partnership for a total value of up to $1,452,063.46. 500,000 of that would be coming from congressionally directed spending, and up to $952,036.46 could come from that traffic program. Again, to advance the engineering, get to that point where we can be shovel ready for our next Department of Defense grant to get that constructed. Questions on that item?
The comment I have about it is I think this is great and we need to do that there at the North Gate as much as I've been there. Again, my comment is about the way the base actually, the amount of time that it has it actually open for use, and that has nothing to do with.
Well, it does have some fact. There is some force security issues there because the way that's configured, people can do, there's actually a lot of history of gate running in that area.
Yes.
So in addition, this is the work that's happening outside the gate. The base actually has a plan to reconfigure basically Peterson Road and turn, I believe it's into Vandenberg, and make the whole route a little secure so you can't just run that gate. So there is a force security issue in addition to the transportation need.
Right. All right. Thank you. I will, yes.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, and I used to work on Peterson after I retired out of the Army out at their hospital out there. I used to ride my bike through there, and you're right, Gail, it's kind of a straight shot through there. And these are like military flashbacks. In Iraq, you have this zigzag thing where a vehicle can't just barrel in and blow itself up. So I think some of this will implement that kind of security right there at Peterson Air Force Base. So makes a lot of sense.
Thank you. All right, with that, I will ask for a motion to approve the City of Colorado Springs.
I have-
Yes.
Mr. Chair, I have 6 more. That was just the
Sorry,
first one.
you're right. I'm jumping ahead.
You can approve them all, or I can
Yes.
let you tell me.
No, I was jumping ahead.
No, it's okay.
Thank you.
I'm going to talk about contracts 2 and 3 together because they're for the same project. The Galley Road over West Fork of Sand Creek Bridge replacement is an A-list PPRTA project. There is a map included in your packet with contract number 2. The first contract is to engage some public information or public engagement services from Merge Resource Group in the amount of $52,000. The second contract is for Stantec. It is to provide construction management, inspection, materials testing, and engineering services during construction. And that's in the amount of $595,560. The city's fourth contract is for another A-list project. It's the 8th Street Road corridor roadway improvements from Motor City Way to Fountain Creek. There's also a map included in your package for this particular project. This is for final engineering work for the roadway portion and engineering services during construction and construction management. A few months ago, I brought you an engineering contract for the water line portion because Colorado Springs Utilities has a major transmission line in that roadway that needs to be replaced. That contract that I brought previously is 100% funded by Colorado Springs Utilities. What I'm bringing forward today, this contract is for the roadway components that is part of that PPRTA A-list project. And now I'm going to move on to a couple maintenance contracts. Contract number 5 is for the PPRTA on-call and ADA concrete contract. As you recall, we had 6 companies that were awarded contracts. This would be adding funds. The contract awarded to Tracks in the amount of $201,574.41. The second contract is put a contract in place with Lucky Dog Contracting for pre-mix concrete. We went through an RFP process. Initially, we did not have respondents. We put a request for quotes out to 4 firms. We received responses back from 3. We could only come to terms with one of the providers, and that is Lucky Dog. This is the first year of a potential with 4 option years available to it, and we're proposing to fund that contract with $500,000 for this coming year. And the last contract is to support traffic signal control heads for our roadway safety and traffic operations efforts. So we use both in both capital projects and for maintenance activities. We're having a difficult time getting some signal equipment. And so we want the opportunity to be able to piggyback on this contract. And with using the CDOT contract, I've gone through an RFP process and we do get very competitive pricing piggyback on this contract. We've done that with some others as well. So we're proposing to put a contract in place with traffic signal controls in the amount of $500,000 to provide those signal heads as needed for our projects, both for capital work and maintenance. And those are the end of the contracts. I'm happy to answer questions that were not addressed during the presentation.
Okay, any questions? I'm looking around the room. Yes,
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Director.
Motor City way to Fountain Creek.
Yes.
You had a carryover of $1,654,000, right? And then the total is $3,279,000. Is that correct?
Let me make sure. Give me just a moment. Let me flip back to that page just to make sure I'm seeing the same numbers you are before I respond.
I'm reading from that page 10.
Okay. So we've been working on building up the construction funds for that project. As of when we put this memo together, our total available funds from previous year's budgets plus with 23 for a total of $3.144 million. Does that answer your question?
No, that's answering my question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So looking around, any other concerns or questions? I don't see any. With that, with the contracts, I will ask for a motion to accept the Colorado Springs contracts, to approve the Colorado Springs contracts.
Hey, Mr. Chair, I would move approval of the 2023 capital maintenance and public transportation contracts as just presented by Gail Sturdivant.
Second, Mayor Dixon.
Thank you. Thank you, Director Donaldson and Dixon. And we have a motion and a second to approve. And with that, any further discussion? I do not see or hear any. With that, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I hear and see none. With that, item 7 has been approved. Moving along to item 8, member governments and other reports. 8A, City of Colorado Springs Transit Service Monthly Update. I do not see. Oh, no. I don't see her.
Stand by. I believe that Kelly is online to be able to
Oh,
do that presentation. Lan is on vacation, first one in 4 years.
Yeah.
We need to retrain her.
Oh, wow.
It's Kelly, can you hear us?
Sounds right. 4 years.
We can move forward and come back.
Yes, Mr. Chair, we may need to skip this. They were on track to be here, so let me do some checking on.
Sure, thank you. With that, we'll move to 8B, City of Colorado Springs Monthly Change Order and Property Acquisition Report. Over to you, Gail. I know you got to get to it.
This is an informational item, Mr. Chair, and I'm available to answer questions. Sorry.
Anyone that's had an opportunity to look at the change orders and if have any questions, I'm looking. I see none. So then we're up to El Paso County. 8C, Paso County Change Order and Property Acquisition Report. Josh?
Yeah, afternoon. Likewise, informational item, but if there's any questions, I'm more than happy to answer.
Okay, we'll give people a moment to look over and see if they have any questions. I see and hear none. With that said, we're finished with item 8C. We'll move to item 8D, Colorado Springs Letter of Support, Funding Commitment for the project grant application for approval. Over to you, Gail.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Gail Sturdivant again with the City of Colorado Springs. The city is within Public Works. We have a couple different departments that there are divisions that are working together to pursue what's referred to as a PROTECT grant, which is promoting resilient operations for transformative, efficient, and cost-effective transportation, or PROTECT. It's one of the new grant programs that came out of the IIJA. We're partnering, city engineering is partnering with the Stormwater Enterprise with a phased grant approach, with the first phase focusing a lot on stormwater, but is all focused in the North Nevada area, really from Templeton Gap down to the Rock Island Railway. When they do this and they go into the stormwater outfall areas and tie into it, that roadway project will have a major sewer system that will go down the middle of it. And that those are PPRTA A-list projects for RTA 3 A-list projects. So we really want to position ourselves well to want to get the stormwater infrastructure in now, capture federal funding if we can for the project, and be positioned to even open up the opportunity to position ourselves for future federal grants for that transportation project. We are asking for a letter of support from PPR today, and there is some specific language that is required for the funding piece. And then Jennifer has taken the draft that was in your packet and it's helped me modify it. And I believe it was circulated out where we're being very clear that our grant request with this letter is for the initial phase of this overall project we're laying out in this grant application. And that the PPRTA has voter approval too and anticipates it will provide the local match for the grant award as part of the budget adopted in fiscal year 2025 or after. So just to make sure we're not obligating funds before we even have that voter authorization, but still being an active member and making some commitment for the grant, which is going to be required for the grant application.
Yes, Rick.
So that revised language is in the single page that I put at each board director's place. It's primarily revising the second sentence of the last paragraph.
Yes, I think you used the word anticipate. All right, any questions on that before then I will go ahead then and ask for a motion to approve the support letter.
I'll move that we approve the support letter as presented in the hard copy at our desks. John Graham.
I'll second.
Thank you,
Mayor
Director
Dixon.
Graham. Thank you, Director Dixon. I have a motion and a second. Now I'll open up the floor for discussion on this particular letter of support. If anyone has any concerns or questions? Yes, Director Donald.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair. Not a question about the letter, but Gail, did you say that the stormwater piece would be between the roads, the north and southbound? Or did I just misunderstand it?
Yeah, so let me start basically from the road and work my way out. So in North Vita, there's really not much of a drainage area or drainage system in that area. With our road project, when we go to do that work, we'll have to put a main trunk line for storm sewer interception in the roadway. What the stormwater components is really looking at what's going to happen outside that roadway project. So they're looking at doing capturing the stormwater, doing more of a regional approach to water quality, and then they'll have discharge or outfalls. They'll be constructing all the way to Monument Creek. And this
Okay.
might be better if I had a map, maybe to explain it, but they're building the outsides in, and we'll be doing the inside piece in the future with the transportation project.
Is it possible maybe at our next meeting or else just over at council to see something, a presentation of that?
Yeah,
What it's
I
gonna look
can
like?
get an exhibit for sure and talk a
Okay.
little bit more about the project. And then I'm happy to circulate the grant application to give you a better idea.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? With that, I assume we still want to, you still okay with taking the vote there, Director Donaldson? Okay, good. All right. With no other questions or comments, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I see and hear none. The letter of support is approved. Moving on to item 9, administrative actions and reports. We'll start with 9A. The board policy number 30 revision, and I'll turn it over to Jennifer and or Rick. Or Gail.
Apologies, I'm still trying to get a Teams link to the person with transit supposed to give you the report,
Right.
so we'll keep working on that.
Thank
So
you.
this policy revision request is really to clarify some confusion that came up when we were executing some bridge maintenance activities. So this policy amendment that we're proposing would amend items 1F and 2. And I think more importantly, what gets used on a day-to-day basis is the table that's included with the policy that has the action items 19, 20, and 23. And really where the confusion comes in, and there had been some board action that happened in 2018 that allowed for the bridge maintenance activities to go up to the $750,000 level before it came back to the PPRTA CAC and board for approval. Otherwise, it would just go on the log. So really, because this question came up with our procurement office, thought it was good to go ahead and take a look at it, make sure it made sense. So with this proposed change, it would to make it clear that it's a $750,000 limit for bridge maintenance contracts and task orders in the future. So that's the primary thing, is clean up on that. But as we were going through this, one of the other issues that was starting to come up was the overall threshold of what we could allow our bridge maintenance contractors to perform on an annual basis. Currently, the policy only allows them to go up to $3 million in aggregate work in that calendar year. We're seeing bridge maintenance work in that $500,000 to $750,000 range quite often. And we only have 3 contractors right now that are really qualified to be able to go and do that work. So we're having issues with them bumping up against that $3 million threshold, 1. And 2, what we heard from other contractors for bridge maintenance is they aren't proposing on this on-call or not providing that maintenance service to us because they do not want to be tied into that $3 million cap. So that's a little bit back on the other thing the city is doing. We've been going through a very extensive bridge asset management program and looking at what it's going to take for bridge funding to avoid some pretty significant capital costs in the future. So the city is also looking at potentially almost doubling our bridge maintenance activities over the next handful of years. So when we were evaluating what that upper threshold needed to be, we thought $7.5 million in aggregate per year made the most sense. So that was an add-on to this particular policy change. So it's twofold, making the clarification on the individual task orders of contracts, but needs board approval, and looking at the aggregate threshold throughout the calendar year. With that, I'm happy to entertain questions or provide additional information.
Thank you. And I'll look around for any, before we make a motion, any comments or concerns on this board policy number 30 revision. If not, I will ask for a motion to approve board policy number 30 revision.
Mayor Todd Dixon also move.
Thank you.
I'll second John Graham.
Thank you. We have a motion to approve and a second. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I hear and see none. Item 9A, board policy number 30 revision is approved. Okay, moving along to 9B, draft board policy number 33. I will say, and Rick can talk to this too, but I'm going to ask to postpone this particular issue and not vote on it today. And I'll turn it over to Rick to explain.
Yes, Mr. Chair, that's the request. That's the recommendation from the PPRTA CAC for some minor wordsmithing, and this is not time sensitive. So the CAC wanted the wordsmithing done. Look at it at the August meeting and then bring it back to your August meeting.
Thank you. Any concerns about postponing our vote on this particular change? I don't see or hear any. So we'll move along to item 9C, waiver of board policy number 7. This is an interesting one. We had some good discussion in the agenda prep about this, so I'll turn it over to you to Jennifer.
If we could just rewind briefly to get a vote on tabling.
Oh, I'm sorry. So we do have to actually vote on tabling item 9B.
I could go either way, but we've in the past always taken a vote to table.
Okay, good. Back up to item 9B, draft policy number 33 that we want to postpone. So I ask for a motion to table that policy until our next meeting.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I
Yes.
move to table, what is it, 9B?
9 probably.
Dave
Yes, sir.
Donaldson.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion to table 9B board policy number 33 and a second in discussion. Hear and see none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There is none. That's been tabled. Now on to 9C, waiver of board policy number 7 has to do with our budget amendment. Yes, Rick.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Board policy 7 deals with the board's 10% budget reserve capital and maintenance, and in particular, since we're dealing with a capital issue with regard to dispersing $600,000 from the board's non-Tabor capital reserves for Manitou Springs per the board's agreement on the proposals to Manitou Springs so that they can use it on their capital projects, specifically Hiawatha Gardens. the board's policy 7 governs both disbursements from the reserves or borrowing from the reserves. And since this is not borrowing, this is a disbursement, but the policy requires replenishing the withdrawal of the capital reserves as early as possible, usually the next budget year. So the PPRTA staff recommend to the CAC, and the CAC has recommended to the board that the board waive the provision, all the provisions of the board policy 7, but particularly not having to replenish the 600,000 back from the 2024 budget into the reserves. So so that's the motion is the requested motion is to waive board policy 7 relative to the $600,000 disbursement out of the board's capital reserves to Manitou Springs capital account.
Thank you. What would happen if we did not waive policy number 7?
Effectively, the board has already waived policy number 7. Well, at least in part by virtue of approving the 2022 or the budget amendment from earlier. Sorry, 2023 budget amendment. The portion that does need to still be waived as part of this action is the repayment portion for 2024,
Okay.
the replenishment, if you will. So effectively, if this isn't approved, then the expectation would still be that it would be replenished in 2024.
Right. So I just want everybody to understand that it's because of the way policy number 7 is worded right now, it would require a payback, as I understand.
Right. And given the timing of
Yeah.
PPRTA 2 coming to an end in 2024, it just doesn't make
I just
much
wanted everyone to be
sense.
clear on what we're going to ask to waive policy number 7. With that, I will ask for a motion for a waiver of board policy number 7.
Mayor Dixon also moved.
Thank you.
Carrie Geithner second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion, questions? Yes.
I do have a
Director.
question. So as a new guy on PPRTA, is there, we would have to cut something that's already been approved in the budget in order to pay this back or no, or can you help me out?
It would most likely just in the 2024 budget would be an off the top reduction before Lisa did the 55, 35, 10 and then did the disbursements to the six member government. So it would be an off the top reduction of whatever the 2024 budget was. That would be the first thing that comes off the top.
Mr. Counselor Donaldson, if I could maybe just to add on that from an impact to the city standpoint, when the 2024 budget comes out, there will be $600,000 less, or 70% of $600,000 less going to the city of Colorado Springs. So roughly 400,000 with round math and available in the 2024 budget. Assuming that, and can I add on there maybe too, that's assuming that you stick with the population split.
Mhm.
But again, that is used only for planning purposes. We're really getting this money out of management reserves now to Manitou so they can continue to work on one of their A-list projects. The population split is just for a planning standpoint. So, but the impact to the city from what we've been using for a typical planning number would be approximately $400,000.
And when do we typically approve the next year's budget?
Final approval would be December, but it's a September through December process.
So, yeah, this is just discussion. If that's the board's policy, I mean, the reason we would not follow the policy is because we don't want to reduce the budget for each of the member organizations. We would rather just not follow that policy and have less in the reserve.
I believe that's
I'll
correct.
talk this time.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. The reserve is set up. We have a 3% table reserve mandatory. The 7%, I think, has been built in as a reserve to buffer for, unexpected items. Since this is the end of PPRTA 2, repaying it in 2024 would really just mean it's being repaid for that 1 year period. And so that repayment impact would really be minor as compared to just cutting the budget for everyone. If that makes sense.
I think so. I think it does.
I think the plan as you're aware, we're working on the board policy 32 to define completely funded. And in the early draft of that, there's about 7 steps, but the 6th and 7th steps are to use the board's 7% board discretionary reserve. The capital needs to be spent on PPRTA 2. The capital reserve cannot be carried over to PPRTA 3. The capital 7% board discretionary 7%, and then the 3% Tabor reserve. Both of those capital pieces have to be spent on PPRTA 2 only. Firewall capital, there's firewall.
So this is going to be spent anyway.
It's going to be spent late 24 and into 25 anyway.
So we've just been very thoughtful with foresight, and we're just getting ahead of the job, right? Absolutely. Humor.
Counselor, if I could frame it maybe a little bit differently. Right, and I think you're on board with it, is that really this could happen in the 24 budget cycle because they're going to need the funds to complete their A-list project. We're just advancing it to them now, and we'll be cleaning up with this mid-year budget versus looking at the 24 budget. So staff is actually supportive of this, this recommendation.
Yep. Thanks for your patience with answering my questions.
No, and I appreciate being able to ask these kinds of questions, because that's why I brought it up, to try to make it understand why we were actually wavering. Okay, with that, we do have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I hear none. That motion has been approved. Okay, moving along to item 9D, staff field review report.
Just informational, showing the results of my windshield drive around of the quarterly progress on maintenance and capital projects at the member governments report for the prior quarter.
Any questions, comments from the directors? I'm looking. Nope. Any other comments on the field report? If not, I will ask.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Again, you got a question. So is this something you do, Rick? Like quarterly, you drive around and you give us.
Yes, sir.
First time, can you fill me in? Can you just give me a little 1 minute explanation of what you do?
There are capital projects that are underway, that are in construction. I go drive and verify that they're in construction and their signs are up that are adequate to notify the public of our good work. Maintenance, there's traffic signal repair, traffic signal, new traffic signals, replaced traffic signals, and it's easy just to drive by and look at the 4 posts that are new and glossy and aren't worn out. And then a lot of concrete work, curb gutter, sidewalk, ped ramps. So there's probably 400 or 500 of those locations. So it takes probably 4 or 5 half days per quarter because I normally, with other work, I can't set aside a whole day. But so I'm driving around confirming what the member governments have reported that they've done for the quarter.
Okay, thank you.
I would suggest, Rick, if if you can, if any of the board members would like to ride around and look at some of the projects with Rick, I know he would work with you on a time and place and that kind of thing. I think it's interesting. Okay.
Mr. Chair, I think that would make it much more enjoyable for Rick. I'm sure
Yeah.
he's hoping for a lot of participation on that.
Yes, I think you're right. With that, I will ask Gail if we've had any luck with the metro.
Yes, we have our new transit planner, Jacob Matson's joining us remotely to give you the transit report.
Jacob, welcome and congratulations.
Yes, thank you. Can everyone hear and see me? I guess for
Yes.
that matter, at least hear me.
I know I can.
Different than how I look. So apologize for the lateness here. I will be giving our kind of updating presentation here on the transit report. I'm assuming you all have it in front of you right now. I don't have any control over the screen, so whoever is running that, if you can scroll down, let's see, yep, right there under the ridership update. Kind of some of the highlights here. The big highlight there is in the month of May with our fixed route ridership, we saw that nearly 26% increase. Also, conversely, we saw the 25% increase on our revenue service hours. So 26% in ridership compared to the previous May, as well as the 25% increase in our number of revenue service hours that we provided. It's important to note that, and I'm sure many of you are aware, we did switch over contractors back in February, and we have definitely seen a lot more restoration of that service, which has been very good on our end. I'm very happy with that. Still some increases in the Metro Mobility. That's our paratransit ADA service that we provide, looking at 15% there, also going up pretty steadily as well. And then unfortunately, our van pool has not seen the kind of rebound that our fixed route and our paratransit ridership has seen. Can we scroll to the next page, please? Actually, go to page 3, my apologies. Just kind of want to highlight that revenue service hours. So particularly looking at the fixed route service, you can see even the pre-pandemic in 2019 for the January through May, our current sample months here, that in 2019 we were at that 80,000 and now we're at 95,000 revenue service hours. So we're actually providing more revenue service than we did before the pandemic. So that is also a great number and something that I'm very happy and proud of working with the contractor to see that. Going under the transit highlights, just down below there, we got the continuing the zero fare for better air. I did want to kind of bounce back to the comment earlier that we saw the 26% increase in ridership. Keep in mind that actually occurred before zero fare took off. Zero fare started in June. So we saw those increases prior to this, which is great. We'll be doing 2 more months here, July and August. But preliminarily, this is going very well right now. We are definitely seeing increases in ridership. Don't have the June numbers exact yet, still tallying those up, but we do expect to see some pretty significant increases similar to what we saw last year during the time period that we did the August. Item number 2 there, the bike to work week. I was back on a Wednesday, the 28th of June. As you can see there, 170 bicyclists stopped by our booth that was just right over there by the Olympic and Paralympic Museum. So we had a very good turnout. Thankful to our partners with Pike Ride, the Switchbacks, and then the Colorado Wildlife Council for co-hosting that breakfast with us. I would also add that we did have one of our electric buses at that event for people to kind of see and look at, and it was there for several hours during that in the morning. So we were very happy to kind of showcase the battery electric bus that we have. Item 3 here is our long-range transit plan. We're working with MMT, Mountain Metro Transit, working with PPACG staff, but we are working on the lead for the public transit element of the long-range plan. And then PPACG is working on that specialized transportation plan as the lead, but we are coordinating together with one another to make this the strongest possible plan and kind of project out to the future and see what that will look like. Item number 4 here is the recent grant we received. You might have saw the public release on that. Came from our 2020 or from the FTA's 2023 bus and bus facilities grant and low-no grants. This has allowed us with a 60-40 match to obtain $3.2 million in funding to purchase 6 hybrid buses. So those will be used to replace some of our much older fleet. That I can tell you from looking at my maintenance, I am looking forward to those 2006 and 2007 replacements. They're trucking along, but boy, they're definitely up there in age. So definitely looking forward to that. That is what I have for the transit report. I don't know if there's anything in there about upcoming service change. If not, I'd like to present on that as well. So
Sure.
So
yes, go ahead.
Thank you. So we have a couple different things coming up this fall. We only have one new route we're looking at putting out there, which is our Route 20. It'll be a weekend service, and it's looking to basically serve the Nevada corridor between the downtown terminal and Southgate Road. And kind of where this came from is our routes 10 and 11 currently serve that. Both of those are at hour frequencies on the weekends, and this corridor, as a result, because those two routes actually complement each other, it makes 30-minute service along that corridor. With the addition of the Route 20, it would actually put 15-minute service between the terminal and Southgate. So that is that's out there for proposal. We proposed that to the public, and public comment is being accepted through July 20th. So once we get that back, hopefully we'll get positive reviews, and we'll look to keep that one going forward. Other kind of smaller changes we're looking to do with the upcoming fall service change, and that this is set to occur on October 1st, by the way. The couple other changes are Route 23 and 24. We're looking to do a change on where they kind of turn around their service. The North Carefree and Tut roundabout is now open, so we're looking to utilize that. And the bus stop would be just slightly to the west of there for the 23 and 24, where they would end their routes and do transfers. Route 34, working with the traffic engineering, we are looking to start using, for those of you that are familiar, there is a kind of a bus bypass lane down there right below Austin Bluffs along Union. So we're looking to start taking our Route 34, which goes along Austin Bluffs, exiting it at Union and picking up and dropping off right below the bridge there, and then coming back onto Austin Bluffs and continuing east, and then obviously the reverse for the other route. And that's looking to service. There is a VA clinic that is right there to the southwest of that intersection that has identified need for transit, and we're looking to get this bus bypass lane to assist over there and hopefully get people to the VA, those that need it. And then finally, our Route 37, this is the one that services the airport. We currently do an inbound and an outbound trip around Integration Loop. That's over there by where the Amazon facility is. And we're looking to eliminate the inbound trip on that one. We've had some on-time performance issues, and really it's being serviced twice in a very short period of time. So it would help reduce some of the late buses we've had there, as well as provide more succinct travel along that, where you're not having to kind of go back around twice over if you're a passenger. So those are some of my highlights. I don't know if anybody has any questions or any thoughts.
I'm looking. I do. I have a couple of questions. I think we're going to have that. 2 weeks ago, we had bus drivers come to the Colorado Springs City Council, speak at customers' comments section. And in their concerns, if you could address some of those on both the restroom at the terminal, the restrooms, potential drug issues in the restrooms, and in general, just the safety of the bus drivers. I wonder if you, Jacob, could address some of those.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
Gail Sturdivant, City of Colorado Springs, and Jacob can support me on this, but I'm going to take this particular question.
Thank you.
The transit staff has put together a matrix with every one of the bullet points that came out with from the union, and it was sent to cancel staff to take a look at it. So you'll have a response to all those all those particular items.
Okay, good.
I'd be happy to address that particular one if you'd like, or if you'd like to wait to see that full response.
I'm
Either way.
happy to wait. I'm not sure if any other of the directors want an answer now. I'll open that up. If Councilmember Avila or Donaldson have any questions on that.
Yes. Chair Helm.
Yes, go ahead.
I met with Lynn and Jacob and Aaron. And so I asked them to send it to city staff.
Good.
And asked the staff to send it on my behalf to all council members. And they're also going to have 2 on how many ever there are, probably 3 people from Mountain Metros with each council member. And then I don't know, maybe next time we can really address that. If
Okay.
the directors want to.
All right. Thank you. I knew that, that was important to all of us 2 weeks ago, and I wanted to make sure we brought that up today. With that, any other questions? Yes.
I do have a couple,
Director
Mr. Chair,
Donaldson.
thanks for Jacob. And Jacob, you mentioned this fall a new route from the terminal down to Southgate. And it sounds like that would bring at least on the weekends to every, was it 20 or 15? I think it's 15-minute service. Is that right?
Yes, 15 minutes while it operates, yes.
And do you believe that's one of the most important determinants or things that influence whether people ride the bus or not? If it's frequent, if it's rapid pickups and drop-offs.
I do believe that frequency is part of what will get people to ride transit. It's for those that are considered choice riders, frequency is very important, particularly with this corridor looking at the passengers per revenue hour. I mean, we're seeing upwards of 30 passengers per revenue hour, which it's hard for the buses to maintain their on-schedule performance and provide reliable transit. And so the idea here is to kind of make it more reliable for not just the Route 20, but for the routes 10 and 11 and make that corridor more consistent, which would hopefully drive more consistent ridership as well.
Is this one of the busiest corridors or the busiest routes, these 3 routes?
It is a very busy corridor. It's not as busy as some of our other routes in town, but on the weekends, this one sees high ridership. Yes.
Which are the busiest, like top 2? Do you know?
So 33
Which
definitely. 33. That's our Manitou spring shuttle. Is pretty well top of the list. We're seeing higher ridership, and say the routes 5, 25 see pretty high ridership as well.
And I don't know the numbers, so 5 and 25 or what streets are those?
Yep, 5 goes kind of along Boulder and Platte, between the terminal and the Citadel, and then 25 goes from the Citadel up to Voyager.
Citadel to Voyager. Okay, thanks. And the questions have to do with the chart on this. And you were talking about how, hey, in 2023, we're 95,000 rider service hours versus 2019. But do we have more buses out on the roads now than we did in 19?
So peak pullout, yes. I don't know off the top of my head what 2019 had for peak pullout. Right now, if everything is running, it's 58. We have some routes that come and go, but we're looking at 58 as our peak pullout of buses on the weekdays.
Okay, and do we have more routes now than we did in 19?
In 19, we do have more routes now, yes.
So there's some kind of factor where we've got more riders, more rider service hours, but we're also using more buses to get those, right?
That would be correct, yes.
Okay, thanks.
Yep, you got it.
And again, thank you, Jacob, for this presentation. We appreciate it. Are there any other, I see no other directors with questions and stuff. With that, that's it.
All right. Well, thank you all very much. Look forward to working with you as we move along here in the future.
Thank you. With that, that moves us to item number 10, the executive session. And we mentioned at the beginning that, as I understand it, there's no time need to have this particular session. I will ask Jennifer if we could bypass the executive session today if that's an issue.
Yeah, not time sensitive, happy to hold a session in the August meeting, if that's okay with the board. I was just going to provide one unrelated update before the board adjourns as well.
And the reason it's, as I said at the beginning, the reason is we do have a Colorado Springs Fire Department promotion ceremony at 3:00 that a couple of us would like to get to if that's possible. Okay, with that said, I will bypass item number 10 and move to item number 11, PPRTA member announcements. I'll move around the board. I start with Mayor Dixon.
Hit the right button here. We're winding down our the Green Box events, and Bronc Day is going to be on July 29th. And it's nice to report that Distilling Basin is actually doing its role, collecting material before it goes into the lake.
All right, very good. Mayor Pro Tem Gardy.
Yes, sir, Chair. Come on, guys, go dancing. Come on. Okay, the 14th, it's starting at 3:00. We're gonna have two bands out there and we're gonna have the Summerfest. It's gonna be the day before the El Paso County Fair. But then we have a lot of vendors and we have you can throw them in horseshoes or you can throw them in all kinds of different stuff. But the biggest thing is you can dance in moonlight. Come on out, man, and we'll actually be dancing in the park. So come on.
There's a song by that title,
That's right.
by the way.
That's actually my wife and myself. That's our song. So,
Yeah. Thank you. Councilmember Donaldson.
I think everybody knows, but the Pikes Peak Bus Rodeo is in full swing right now. So I would encourage those who enjoy rodeo to go on out and get tickets and enjoy it. That's
Thank
it
you.
for me. Thanks.
Thank you. Break a leg. Mayor Graham.
I'd say Manitou's busy. You're welcome to come at any time, have your fill of all the mineral water you want. And that's pretty much it. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Gonzalez.
Thank you. Remind everybody to get out to the rodeo. I'm getting out there, I think Friday night. Anytime my relatives visit, I take them out and I punish them by having them drink the waters of Manitou. It's always a fun time. My father actually loved mineral water. It's not my thing, but everybody enjoys going out there and checking out I don't know how many fountains there are, but 8 of them. And so I always have trouble finding 1 or 2 of them, but it's always fun. I enjoy doing that. And then, of course, El Paso County Fair, but I'll let Commissioner Geithner kind of mention that too.
All right.
Yes, so thank you for mentioning it. So Paso County Fair kicks off on Saturday and we'll go all the way through to the following weekend. We're hoping for good weather. I'd love to see everybody out there. It's always a fun time. The 4-H programs in particular are really important to kids to see the connection to agriculture, which is important to all of us. It's really amazing. These kids they put so much work into those animals. The junior livestock show is next Saturday. So I encourage you, if you've not participated in that, it is really neat to see. And these kids are so incredible to talk to them. It's just amazing how responsible they are, how truly impressive it is to see how capable they are of interacting with adults and talking to you and in a really professional manner about the animals that they've raised. So would love, and of course, there's always the carnival and the concerts and the demolition derby. There's a new laser light show this year, which will be really exciting on Friday night. So come on out. Love to see you there.
Thank you, Councilmember Avila. All right. Yes. Repeat again, the rodeo. I'm going to the Saturday matinee with the Air Force Academy and the cadets. Cadets. So with that, and I'll look across and start with Rick.
Nothing, thanks.
Thank you. Jennifer.
Sorry, I know you guys didn't want to have an executive session. I did have one item I just wanted to update you on, which is the IGA with Copper Ridge Metropolitan District, the city and county. I did send out over the weekend just a red line showing the changes consistent with the board's approval. And just wanted to report that this is on the August 1st agenda for the Board of County Commissioners for El Paso County because the 7:25 meeting was canceled. And I understand it's going to be on the consent agenda for the city council on July 25th.
That's correct. Andy. Gail.
I wanted to let you all know, and hopefully you received an invitation for it. We're going to have the groundbreaking for the Mark Shuffle Road improvements on July 21st at 9:30 a.m. If you need a map or need more information, I'm happy to provide it, but we're very excited to get this project kicked off. And then one more item. I do want to just introduce one person in my staff because you may see him more frequently. Ryan Phipps, if you could stand up. Ryan Phipps is part of the city engineering team. He's been on city staff for 10 years and he's stepping in more of a leadership role. So you may see him on occasion if I'm unable to join you. So thank
Well,
you.
welcome, Ryan. Josh.
Nothing from the county.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Mayor Pro Tem.
I want you guys, man, we're going to plug you in for the El Paso County Fair. It's like my grandkids teach me a lot, man, about computers. And these little kids will teach you a lot about livestock. So come on out.
Absolutely. All right, with that, yes, Councilmember Donaldson.
Yeah, I just looked, well, thank you, Mr. Chair. I looked on our, our phones, our calendars, and there's nothing on there on the 21st about that groundbreaking. So if someone could just send it to, just send an invite. If not, we won't, we'll have all the best intentions and we'll totally forget about it.
Okay, I'll make sure that you get something.
Okay.
Yes,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we had some changes in our administrative staff.
Oh, okay. My guess is they didn't take the email and turn it into an invite for you.
Yep.
So we'll work on that. Thank you.
Yep. All right. Any other announcements, comments? With that, our meeting is adjourned.